The rain sounds like your mother's lullabies, soft and sad and beautiful all at once. Autumn Breslin paused in the doorway of the hospital room, medical chart forgotten in her hands. The elderly man in the bed, Mr. Theodore Calhoun, had his eyes closed, a slight smile on his weathered face despite the oxygen tubes and IV lines tethering him to machines. At 70, ravaged by congestive heart failure and pneumonia, he looked impossibly fragile against the white sheets. "Did your mother sing to you in the rain, Mr. Calhoun?" Autumn asked softly, moving to adjust his pillow. Theodore's eyes opened, cloudy but warm. Every storm. She'd say the thunder was God rearranging furniture, and we shouldn't be afraid of a little heavenly housekeeping. His voice rasped, weak but touched with humor. "I used to sing the same songs to my son, before I became inconvenient." Autumn's throat tightened. She had been Theodore's primary caregiver for 3 weeks, ever since his admission, and not once had his son visited. The name on the emergency contact, Donovan Calhoun, belonged to the CEO of Calhoun Industries, a tech empire worth billions. She'd seen his face in business magazines in the waiting room, all sharp edges and colder eyes. "You're not inconvenient," Autumn said, taking Theodore's trembling hand. "You're a person who deserves dignity and care and—" She stopped, emotions threatening to overwhelm her professional composure. "And love," Theodore finished gently. "That particular ship sailed years ago, my dear. When my wife died, Donovan was 16. I threw myself into the business, thinking I was building his future. Instead, I taught him that work matters more than people. Now he's replicated that lesson perfectly, just with me as the casualty instead of him." Autumn settled into the chair beside his bed, knowing she should return to her rounds, but unable to leave him alone with such heavy thoughts. "Would you like me to sing to you? My mother used to say music was medicine the soul could actually taste." "Your mother sounds like she was wise." "She was," Autumn's voice caught. "Both my parents were. They died in a car accident 4 years ago, and I became a nurse because I couldn't save them. But maybe I could save someone else's parents. Maybe I could be the daughter someone needed when their own couldn't show up." Theodore squeezed her hand with surprising strength. "They raised someone with a beautiful heart. That's the greatest legacy." As rain drummed against the window, Autumn began singing, old folk songs her mother had taught her, melodies that spoke of loss and hope intertwined. Theodore's breathing steadied, his expression peaceful. She didn't notice the figure in the doorway until she finished the second song. Donovan Calhoun stood motionless, his tailored suit incongruous in the clinical setting, his face unreadable. Autumn straightened quickly, professional mask sliding back into place. "Mr. Calhoun, your father's vitals have improved today. The new medication—" "Why were you singing?" His voice was cold, clipped. Your father mentioned rain reminded him of his mother's lullabies. I thought it might comfort him." "Comfort isn't covered by insurance." Donovan's words were sharp, but something flickered in his eyes, something that looked almost like pain before vanishing. "I came to review his care plan. The doctors say he's stable enough for a skilled nursing facility." "Mr. Calhoun," Autumn said carefully, "your father is stable, but he's also 70 and frightened and alone most of every day. Skilled nursing facilities provide medical care, but they can't provide what he actually needs." "Which is?" Donovan's tone was challenging. "Someone who sees him, who remembers he's a person with a history, with feelings, with a lifetime of experiences that matter." Autumn's professionalism cracked. "Someone who doesn't treat him like an inconvenient obligation." The silence stretched taut. Theodore had drifted to sleep, his breathing shallow but rhythmic. Donovan stared at his father as if seeing a stranger. "You have no idea what you're talking about," he said finally, but the conviction had drained from his voice. He left without another word. Over the following days, Donovan began appearing at odd hours, early morning, late evening, always when Theodore was sleeping. He'd stand in the doorway, watching, but never entering, his expression haunted. Autumn observed this ritual with growing understanding. This wasn't indifference, it was cowardice born from grief unprocessed. She found him one evening in the family waiting area, head in his hands. "Mr. Calhoun, are you all right?" He looked up, and she saw tears he was too proud to acknowledge. "I don't know how to talk to him. It's been so long since we've had a real conversation. Years, maybe. After my mother died, we just stopped. He worked, I worked, and somehow we convinced ourselves that was enough." Autumn sat across from him, choosing words carefully. "Grief makes us do strange things. Sometimes we run from the people who remind us of our loss, even when those people need us most. But it's never too late to change that pattern until we wait until it actually is too late." "He probably hates me," Donovan said hoarsely. "He talks about you constantly, about teaching you to ride a bike, about your mother's proud when you graduated college, about how much he wishes he'd told you he was proud instead of just pushing you to achieve more." Autumn leaned forward. "Your father doesn't hate you. He misses you. There's a difference. I don't know what to say to him. Start with, 'I'm here.' Start with, 'I'm sorry.' Start with just sitting beside him without your phone or your agenda, just being present. That's all anyone really wants, Mr. Calhoun. To be seen, to be remembered, to matter to someone beyond their utility." That night, Donovan stayed. Autumn watched through the window as he pulled a chair to Theodore's bedside, his presence awkward but genuine. When Theodore woke, confusion gave way to wonder, then to tears. They didn't speak much. Years of distance couldn't be bridged in an evening. But Donovan held his father's hand, and that simple gesture said everything words couldn't. The next day, Donovan approached Autumn at the nurse's station. "My father told me something this morning. He said you've been staying late, singing to him, talking with him, treating him like family. The night shift supervisor mentioned you've done this with other patients too, the ones without visitors, the ones who are lonely." "It's not against regulations," Autumn said quickly. "I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to understand why. You're not paid for that time. You have no obligation beyond medical care." Autumn met his gaze steadily. "After my parents died, a nurse sat with me for hours in the emergency room. She didn't have to. Her shift was over. But she held my hand and let me cry and told me stories about her own losses until I could breathe again. She showed me that even in our darkest moments, there are people who'll choose kindness over convenience. I became a nurse to be that person for others." Something shifted in Donovan's expression, the hardness cracking like ice in spring thaw. "I've spent 10 years building an empire, and I've forgotten what actually matters. My father tried to teach me, but I was too arrogant to listen. You've given him something I couldn't. Presence, compassion, the feeling of being valued. That's worth more than anything I've ever accomplished." "It's not too late," Autumn said softly. "He's still here. You're still here. That's all you need to start rebuilding." Over the following weeks, Donovan transformed. He cleared his schedule to spend hours with Theodore, talking about memories, apologizing for years of neglect, listening to stories he dismissed as unimportant during his climb to success. He hired round-the-clock private care for when he couldn't be there, but insisted on being present for meals, for evening conversations, for the small rituals that turned medical care into genuine companionship. Theodore improved remarkably. The doctors attributed it to new medications, but Autumn knew better. Human connection healed in ways medicine couldn't measure. One evening, Donovan found Autumn in the staff lounge during her break. "I need to ask you something. My father's being discharged next week, his condition stable enough for home care. I'm converting part of my house into a medical suite, hiring a full-time nursing staff. But," he paused, uncharacteristically uncertain, "he asks for you constantly, says your singing makes the pain bearable, that you remind him of my mother. Would you consider joining his care team? I'll triple whatever you're making here, provide housing if needed, whatever it takes." Autumn's eyes widened. "Mr. Calhoun, I'm honored, but I'm not offering charity. I'm offering a job to someone who's already proven she sees my father as a human being worth cherishing. Someone who taught me to do the same." His voice roughened. "You gave me my father back by showing me what I'd lost. Let me give you the opportunity to keep doing what you clearly love, caring for people with your whole heart. Tears spilled down Autumn's cheeks. Can I think about it? Of course. But Autumn, thank you. For seeing him when I couldn't. For being brave enough to call me out on my failures. For reminding me that success means nothing if we lose our humanity achieving it. That night, Autumn sat with Theodore during her rounds. Your son offered me a position as your private nurse. Theodore's face lit up. And you'll accept? I'm considering it. But I worry, will I be enabling him to avoid the actual work of caregiving? Or am I providing support that lets him participate more fully? You're giving an old man more time with two people he's come to love, Theodore said simply. Donovan needs you as much as I do. Someone to model the compassion he's forgotten existed. Someone to remind him that wealth's purpose is enabling kindness, not replacing it. The decision crystallized. Then I'll accept, on one condition. Your son actively participates in your care, not just pays for it, but shows up for it. Deal, Donovan said from the doorway, making them both start. I've already cleared my schedule. Board meetings can happen via video. Deals can wait. My father can't. 6 months later, Theodore's home care suite had become something unexpected, a gathering place. Donovan had expanded Autumn's role to developing a program bringing music therapy and companionship to isolated elderly patients, funded through his foundation. Autumn coordinated volunteers, trained caregivers in compassionate care practices, and still spent evenings with Theodore, singing the songs that had first connected them. You know what I realized? Theodore said one evening as Autumn adjusted his pillows. The rain sounds like your mother's lullabies, soft and sad and beautiful all at once. But now when I hear it, I don't feel alone. I hear you singing, I hear my son's laughter from the next room, and I remember that even in our storms, we can find each other. Autumn's voice trembled. You've given me something too, Mr. Calhoun, a second family. A reminder that the people we lose never really leave. They live on in the kindness we choose to show others. Donovan entered with evening tea, a ritual he now treasured. My father told me something yesterday. He said you remind him of my mother. Not in appearance, but in spirit. The way you see people's potential, their inherent worth. The way you love without expectation of return. That's the only kind of love that matters, Autumn said softly. I spent years believing success required ruthlessness, that compassion was weakness, that efficiency trumped humanity. You proved me devastatingly wrong. The most successful thing I've ever done isn't building a billion-dollar company. It's learning to sit with my father and actually be present. That's the achievement I'll be proudest of when my own time comes. As rain began falling softly against the windows, Autumn began singing, the same folk songs that had started everything. Theodore smiled, his hand in his son's, their reconciliation complete not through grand gestures, but through the accumulated weight of small, consistent kindnesses. The rain sounds like hope now, Theodore whispered, like second chances and grace we don't deserve but receive anyway. Thank you, Autumn, for seeing an ignored old man and choosing to care, for seeing my broken son and choosing to challenge him, for teaching us both that kindness, true, unselfish kindness, is the only currency that matters in the end. Kindness doesn't require wealth or status, only the willingness to see another's humanity and respond with compassion. Sometimes the simplest acts, a song, a presence, a willingness to truly see someone, can transform not just individual lives, but entire legacies. When we choose connection over convenience, when we offer dignity to those society overlooks, when we remember that every person carries a story worth honoring, we create ripples that extend far beyond what we can imagine. Love isn't diminished by giving it freely. It multiplies, healing both giver and receiver in ways that matter more than any material success ever could. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.